That's what they're doing with their resources. You look at Asia Wilson's signature shoe, her logo, resources wasted. You look at the Paige Bueckers Nike logo. Does this look like they really wanted to do this, or they were just catering to that crowd? So they said, oh, let's just get a Paige and let's give her a logo. Let's cater to the company I grew up with. I think many of us had these. Paige Bueckers signs a deal with Lego as she prepares to be the next signature athlete. Now, my question to you. How many kids know who Paige Bueckers is? Number one. How many kids' parents know who Paige Bueckers is? Number two. And if you're walking in a toy store, whether it's Target, whether it's a toy section at Walmart, and you see this face on a box, who knows who this is?
Opening up the window, taking a double bag of cash, and just throwing it out of a moving car. That's not hyperbole. That's what major corporations are doing right now with their marketing budgets in women's basketball. And what we're about to show you reveals just how desperate these companies have become. January 13th, 2025. Lego announces a partnership with Paige Bueckers. Nike unveils her signature logo. Multiple brands rush to attach themselves to an athlete preparing to enter the WNBA. Sounds impressive, right? Until you see the promotional materials, until you notice the colors they're using, until you realize what they're actually doing. They're using Iowa Hawkeyes colors, black and gold, yellow and black, to promote a UConn Husky player, to market a Dallas Wings athlete. Let that sink in for a moment. These corporations are so desperate to generate interest in Paige Bueckers that they're literally borrowing another player's brand identity. They're stealing Caitlin Clark's college colors because they know that's the only way to get casual fans to pay attention. And if you believe we need to call out this kind of corporate manipulation when we see it, smash that like button right now. It tells us you're ready to filter out the noise and focus on what's actually happening behind these carefully crafted marketing campaigns. Here's what makes this so revealing. Lego built their empire on cultural icons. Star Wars, Harry Potter, Marvel superheroes, characters that kids and parents both recognize instantly. That's the formula that works. Mass recognition equals mass sales. Now walk into any Target or Walmart toy section. A parent sees a Lego box with an unfamiliar face. A kid picks it up with zero recognition. What happens to that product? It sits on shelves collecting dust. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark Wilson basketballs are selling out in 48 hours. Her Kobe Protro shoes sold out in minutes. The Barbie doll, the Funko Pop, the action figures, the t-shirts. Every single piece of merchandise connected to Clark moves off shelves immediately. There's actual consumer demand, real revenue generation, measurable market impact. But somehow, Paige Bueckers is the athlete that multiple corporations decided deserves signature product lines and major marketing campaigns. The question every marketing executive should be asking, but apparently isn't, is simple. Who is this for? Let's be specific about what happened with that Lego announcement. The promotional materials dropped, and the WNBA community immediately noticed something strange. The color scheme. Not Dallas Wings colors, which are navy blue and lime green. Not UConn colors, which are navy blue and white. Iowa Hawkeyes colors. The same colors associated with Caitlin Clark's historic college career. The same brand identity that generated unprecedented viewership numbers and merchandise sales. Think about what that reveals. The marketing teams know they need to attach Bueckers to Caitlin Clark in any way possible just to generate interest. They tried it during Clark's junior year at Iowa. They tried it again during her senior year. ESPN built an entire season around the rivalry narrative. And now, even after Clark's in the WNBA and Bueckers is still at UConn playing her 5th year, they're still using Iowa's colors because that's the only connection that might get people to pay attention. This isn't the first time we've seen this pattern. When Bueckers was injured and sidelined, media coverage tried to position her as the player who would have rivaled Clark if only she'd been healthy. When she returned to the court, every game between Iowa and UConn was marketed as a battle between the two stars, even though one was clearly generating exponentially more interest than the other. And that brings us to the numbers, because while corporations can create whatever marketing materials they want, consumers vote with their wallets and their attention. The market doesn't lie. Paige Bueckers' WNBA debut, the game that should have been her moment, the platform that would finally prove she could generate the same level of interest as other marquee players. It averaged 639,000 viewers on Iowa, a network most Americans didn't even know existed until the WNBA put games there. For context, that's a channel that ranks behind basic cable networks in most markets, a platform with limited reach. And even on that smaller stage, the viewership came in at just over 600,000. Now that number isn't terrible in isolation, but we're not looking at it in isolation. We're looking at it in comparison to the athlete whose brand identity these corporations are borrowing. Caitlin Clark's WNBA debut averaged 2.12 million viewers on ESPN, a network that looked at the upcoming season and said, "We want that game. We want Caitlin Clark's debut on our platform." ESPN was evaluating every WNBA debut for the 2025 season, asking who's got their WNBA debut that we want. And their answer was clear. Nobody else. Pass on the others. Give us Caitlin Clark. Nearly 1.5 million more people tuned in to watch Clark's debut compared to Bueckers on a major network versus a fringe channel. That's not a small gap. That's a chasm. That's the difference between mass market appeal and niche audience interest. But here's what makes the corporate behavior even more frustrating. They know these numbers. Marketing executives have access to ratings data, merchandise sales figures, social media engagement metrics, attendance records. They can see what's generating return on investment and what isn't. They're making these decisions with full knowledge of the market reality. The Dallas Wings couldn't sell out their home arena all season. We're talking about a sub-10,000-seat venue in a major market, and they were playing to partially empty crowds game after game after game, until the Indiana Fever came to town, until Caitlin Clark was visiting. That's not speculation. That's attendance records that anyone can verify. So when Nike creates what one commentator accurately described as a paint bucket logo for Paige Bueckers' signature design, what does that tell you about their actual level of investment? When Lego uses Iowa colors to market a Dallas Wings player, what does that reveal about their strategy? Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you believe these corporate partnerships make business sense? Or are companies wasting resources on forced narratives? Drop your thoughts below because this conversation matters.
Even know myself. But the craziest part of all this is that they're using Iowa Hawkeyes colors to promote a UConn Husky play. Interesting. They're using Iowa Hawkeyes colors to promote a Dallas Wings play. Interesting. So they need to find something to connect Paige Bueckers to Caitlin Clark so people can even try to attach her to Caitlin Clark in any way, shape, or form that they possibly could. While Caitlin Clark is busy being a rookie in the WNBA, super senior Paige Bueckers is over there in UConn hooping it up, getting carried by AZ Fudd and Sarah Strong to a national championship. But let me just show you some of the numbers behind Paige Bueckers. We have Paige Bueckers' WNBA debut. Paige Bueckers' WNBA debut averaged 639,000 viewers on Ion. You think somebody with actual motion would be put on Ion for their WNBA debut?
They're doing the bare minimum to say they did something while knowing it won't generate significant revenue. It's performative corporate activism disguised as athlete sponsorship, and consumers see right through it. Let's talk about what actual market demand looks like, because we have a perfect case study. Caitlin Clark's Wilson basketball became the fastest-selling basketball in the company's history. Not one of the fastest, the fastest. breaking records that had stood for years. Her signature shoe sold out within minutes of launch. The Barbie doll commemorating her career became a collector's item before it even hit mainstream retail. Every single product connected to Clark generates immediate and measurable consumer response. That's what happens when corporate investment aligns with genuine market demand. That's what return on investment looks like. That's smart business strategy based on data rather than narrative. Now compare that to what we're seeing with these other partnerships. Nike unveiled the Paige Bueckers logo, and the response from the design community was immediate and brutal. It looks rushed. It looks generic. It looks like something created in 15 minutes to fulfill a contractual obligation rather than a carefully crafted brand identity meant to stand alongside the sport's greatest signatures. You look at A'ja Wilson's signature shoe logo. You look at what Nike created for other marquee athletes. Then you look at what they gave Bueckers. The difference in investment level is obvious, and that tells you everything about whether they actually believe this partnership will generate significant revenue or whether they're just checking boxes. Here's where it gets even more revealing. The unrivaled league launched this week with Paige Bueckers as one of its featured faces, a new 3-on-3 professional basketball league designed specifically to keep elite players in the United States during the off-season. Big announcement, major media push, celebrity ownership backing, everything you'd need to generate interest, right? Except the league doesn't have a major television deal. Most games stream on platforms with limited reach. The marketing push has been minimal compared to what you'd expect for a new professional sports league, and early viewership projections aren't promising. This is the pattern. Big announcements followed by limited follow-through, followed by disappointing results. Then everyone acts surprised that their investments didn't pay off, even though every piece of available data predicted exactly this outcome. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark's rookie season generated 3.4 million viewers for her first ESPN game. Her finals appearance drew the highest WNBA playoff ratings in decades. Her jersey became the league's best seller within weeks. Her social media presence drives more engagement than the rest of the league combined. That's not opinion, that's measurable impact across every relevant metric that corporations claim to care about. So, when you see these announcements about new partnerships and signature products for athletes who don't generate comparable numbers, you have to ask, is this a sound business decision? Or is this a company choosing to lose money to maintain a specific narrative? Many of you have been saying this for weeks in the comments. You've been pointing out the disconnect between corporate marketing strategy and actual consumer behavior. You've been noting how these companies keep trying to force storylines that don't match market reality. You were onto something, because reading between the lines reveals exactly what's happening here. These corporations are making decisions based on optics rather than market research. They're catering to a specific crowd, a specific narrative, a specific vision of what they think the WNBA should be, rather than responding to what consumers are actually buying. And the result is wasted resources, half-hearted product launches, and merchandise that sits in warehouses instead of selling through retail channels. This isn't about basketball performance. Paige Bueckers is an exceptional player. UConn won a national championship in 2024, and she was a major part of that success alongside Ozzie Fudd. Her college career speaks for itself. Her skills are legitimate. This isn't questioning her abilities on the court. This is about business fundamentals. When you're a publicly traded company answerable to shareholders, you have a fiduciary responsibility to make decisions that generate profit. Intentionally choosing to lose money on marketing campaigns that don't work isn't noble. It's negligent, and eventually, shareholders are going to start asking why their investment dollars are funding campaigns that don't generate returns. The market has spoken. Consumers have voted with their wallets. Television audiences have demonstrated what they want to watch. Attendance records show which athletes drive ticket sales. Social media engagement reveals which players generate genuine interest. And corporations are ignoring all of it in favor of what they think should be popular instead of what actually is popular. Think about the Lego announcement specifically. The company is betting that parents will buy WNBA player sets for kids who don't know who Paige Bueckers is. They're hoping that nostalgia-driven adult collectors will purchase these sets, even though Bueckers doesn't have the cultural penetration that makes collectibles valuable. They're launching a product line without the market research that would tell them this is going to underperform. And when it does underperform, when the sales numbers come in below projections, these companies will have a choice. They can either admit they made a marketing mistake and course correct, or they can double down and blame consumers for not buying what they're selling. Based on how this has played out so far, we know which option they'll choose. The worst part is that the athletes being used as pawns in this corporate theater deserve better. Paige Bueckers deserves a Nike logo that actually reflects creative investment and brand confidence. She deserves marketing campaigns built around her genuine strengths rather than forced comparisons to another player. She deserves corporate partners who are all in on her success rather than using her to check diversity boxes and appease social media crowds. But that's not what's happening. Instead, we're getting rushed product launches, derivative marketing materials, and half-hearted campaigns that insult both the athlete and the consumer. We're getting Lego sets that will sit on clearance shelves 6 months from now. We're getting corporate decisions that prioritize optics over outcomes. If you appreciate coverage that follows the evidence wherever it leads instead of whatever narrative is trending on social media, subscribe and hit that notification bell. We're going to keep tracking these patterns because the story behind the story matters. And next time, we're breaking down why the WNBA's new television deal might not deliver the windfall everyone's expecting. The numbers tell a very different story than the headlines. This is what happens when corporations choose narrative over numbers. When they throw money out of moving cars and call it progress, the market always reveals the truth eventually. See you in the next one.